Helen,
And I'm Liz,
and we're sisters
scientists,
and lifelong X-Files fans.
and this is We Want to Believe.
All right. Shall we talk about the X-Files?
Yeah, I'm excited. Emasculata, yes?
Yeah, this was a you episode. This was not a me
Oh,
episode.
no.
It had a lot about infectious disease and parasites and public
Ooh.
health.
Ooh.
Yeah, I actually feel like maybe you should watch it at some point and see what you think.
Yeah.
It was super gross in parts. Yeah.
In a very different way than like humbug, like in a more medical.
Pretty much anything is in a different way than humbug. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce this word because I feel like I'm not sure what's a U and what's an O. Pustules?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Pustules. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like PUS, like all of a sudden I felt like it was like POS, but then it started looking like post office and I got confused in my notes. Yeah. Oh, before we get into it though, do you have any reminders, announcements, anything? I don't think I do.
I don't think I do either. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking the other day about how I wanted to do a little more background research into astrobiology, but I that was as far as that got. But
Yeah.
wait, didn't you say you were going to look into something? Oh, but
I
you
did,
haven't.
but I haven't. No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that like time in the semester, time in the year with travel stuff, time in publication stuff that I'm just like barely hanging on. Also, I don't know if Zach told you, but we are reaching the stage where Zach will be called upon to act as I'm starting to get reviews of my novel. And I don't think I should read them because I am not a mentally healthy enough person to do so regularly. Because I'm reading this like really good review where the woman writes, well, I don't know if it's a woman actually. The person writing the review says, this is 3.5 stars, rounding up to 4 out of 5. And I want to be like, you didn't have to say that. And then I'm like, this is a really positive review. So why'd you take off a star? And I'm like obsessing about it. This is not good for me. I don't need to be spending my time doing this. So I think we're getting close to that time where I should just give Zach all my logins and he can forward me the 5-star reviews.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. I mean, your husband, Adam, was super helpful with my course evals last year.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a great system.
That's where I got the idea.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say I follow some famous authors on Instagram who will sometimes post things like please don't tag tag the authors in negative reviews.
Yeah. Well, yeah, why do people do that?
Right. But my point is like these are like, really famous, beloved authors that are still having people tag them in negative reviews.
Yeah. And to be clear, I'm not being tagged. I am seeking these out. So I'm going, it's been a couple hours. Time to go on Goodreads and see if there's anything new that I can obsess over.
I Googled myself the other day because William wanted me to. And he was like, what would happen if we typed in Helen Werner and then the name of our city? And I was like, what would
happen?
Yeah. And he was like, is that about you? And I was like, well, yeah.
God, it's so weird. I can't imagine growing up with the internet, and having to learn about it as a thing that exists before you.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. Yeah. But then I saw my Rate My Professor page and was like, no. And it took like all of my willpower to not click on it.
Smart. Yeah, because who writes things on there? That's not a very fair sample. It is either the very diligent who write that for everyone, which is rare, or the very angry. And usually students are angry for some stupid reason.
Yep. Yeah. Like that is my one line I have drawn for myself as far as seeking out information about me. I will not, I'm trying my best to not cross.
That is smart.
I do not want to know.
Yeah, I've absolutely looked at myself on Rate My Professor, but there haven't been updates in a long time, so I kind of stopped looking. And now I have,
I
a
imagine you've
new.
got really good ones, though.
I mostly do, but not entirely.
Ah,
Yeah, I
eh,
mean, I don't know. Again, people who go on there are
yeah.
often, I don't know. I once got a complaint that I wasn't doing enough on a study abroad that Adam and I were leading. And it was like anonymous after the fact. And it was like, she doesn't do anything. It's just Professor Stanley doing everything. Well, yeah. My ankle was broken.
Oh my
So
God.
that's why I wasn't doing that much. And although the comment was anonymous, I was like, as I'm talking to the director of programs, I'm like, okay, so I know it's anonymous, so you can't say anything. So I'm just going to tell you this, but this person got an F. So if you
Mm,
happen to know it was that person, maybe keep that in mind.
yeah.
And like to get an F on our study abroad
Oh my
program just means
God.
you just didn't do anything. Sat there
Jeez.
silently in discussions, did not write papers, did not turn anything in. It's not like you did a
Oh,
crummy job and you got an F in a tough class. It's,
right.
I thought it was a vacation and it turns out it wasn't. So
Oh, oh man. And yeah,
anyway,
that's the thing.
this is this
Any
is like also a podcast. Besides being the Secret Lord of the Rings podcast, it's a complain about students in academia podcast.
yeah.
Yeah.
For any who may be listening, we
Yes.
know you're not as anonymous as you might
Oh
think
yeah.
you are. We know. We
Hmm.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just heads up.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like
cool.
that's just true about all sorts of things we know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
this is like really benign, but it really amuses me in the way that like students think you can't hear them when they're having a conversation right in front
Yeah.
of you, but like you're on your computer and you're like getting ready for class. And I listened to this quiet, extremely studious girl tell a story to her friend about how, yeah, I didn't know him that well, but he asked me to be a date to a relative's wedding. I guess I got really drunk and I interrupted the first dance to go out on the dance floor with the bride and groom. And I was just like, don't react, Liz. Don't make a face. Like, I was just like, oh my God. Can you imagine like it's like your second or third date with this person, you take them to a wedding and they interrupt the first dance?
Oh
It's just
my God.
awesome.
Oh, that's that's awesome. Let's leave that there. Let's
Yeah, sounds
start with
good.
the
Yeah,
episode. That's a good place to
yeah, absolutely. Um, so we start in the rainforest in Costa Rica, and there's an entomologist looking at some bugs, and then we
Oh
see
no.
a lot of vultures. And oops, there's something dead. I don't honestly know what, but something dead and big and is gross.
Okay.
And then he's like, maybe I should poke at this dead thing, and something squirts him. There's a lot of
Mm.
squirting stuff out of wounds, like a very liquidy pus.
Oh,
I'm not into it. So that night he's like calling for help in a medical emergency. He's by himself in this tent and he's like radioing for help and no one's responding. His face now looks all gross. And then his body is found by some men in military fatigues with guns,
hmm.
speaking Spanish.
Okay.
So like 7 hours later, he is dead.
Wow.
Okay. And then um, we've got credits rolling, and it's a prison in Virginia. So very, oh, and he says when he's radioing in, he says, this is Dr. Robert Torrance with the Biodiversity Project. So we know his
Ah,
name.
okay. Great.
So anyhow, as the credits are rolling, I notice Dean Norris's name, and I don't know if that means anything to you because I don't think you watched Breaking Bad, but he is
Oh
a
no.
major character in Breaking Bad. So, Mom, if you're listening, which I know you are, I thought you'd be interested to know this. Yeah, he's the brother-in-law of the main guy on Breaking Bad who works, I want to say for the DEA. He's in law enforcement in some way, so that's like a conflict in the series, that Walt's selling meth and his brother-in-law is a agent or drug person. Anyhow, so Dean Norris is in it, and I was like, oh, cool. And so then I was kind of paying attention to the names coming up, and the next one, William B. Davis. Ooh,
Ooh. Cigarette
smoking
smoking man.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that made me happy. I was hoping maybe Ice
Cool.
will show Ice. No, words X. I'm
X.
hoping
Uh-huh.
X will show up. He does not. Of course he
Okay.
doesn't. He'll probably be in the next one. So
Probably.
there's a man in solitary. He gets a package. His name is Bobby. He opens a package. I can't see what's in it, but it's something bloody and big. And he's like, ugh, what the heck? And then we see that like he's getting sick, and like then like 18, it says 18 hours later, there's like men in full PPE with like, the full suits and everything examining him under some lights. They're like measuring the like gross pustule things on his face, and he's like freaking out, understandably. And while he's being examined elsewhere, they're like cleaning out his room. And they have two prisoners doing it as like, I don't know, their job or something. And they're kind of left alone to do it. And they're like, something's going on here. They're kind of suspicious. They're like, this whole wing has been emptied, or this whole block, and they're going to have us incinerate all of his stuff instead of just take it to laundry. Like, what's happening? And then they come up with a plan to somehow escape through the laundry. It is not explained how at all, but they somehow escape. Because the next thing you know, Mulder and Scully are being brought in to try to figure out what's going on with these escaped prisoners. And it's a manhunt. And they're like, we don't really know why we were assigned to this. Like, this isn't normally the FBI's thing. And there's a U.S. Marshal there, and that's Dean Norris. So I'm just going to call him Dean because I never learned his name, and it doesn't matter anyway.
Sure.
And he's kind of hostile. Sorry. Yes.
I have a quick question. So he was brought like through prison mail channels, a box with something bloody in it?
Yes. And except it wasn't a box, it was a bag.
A bag. Yeah, that seems,
unlikely.
Unlikely. Yeah, either the prison is involved or, I don't know. Haven't been to prison. Don't think it's likely to just be able to hand people bags of bloody things.
Yeah,
just
I don't know.
Saying. Okay.
It reminded me, I once mailed a friend a banana
to
see what would happen. Yeah, and it arrived like 2 weeks later in a bag, all drippy. So
maybe this person put like
they were like, oh, it's probably just another banana for one of our prisoners. Let's pass this along. So I'll let you think about that for now. I'll leave it at that as like the mail thing, because like we can discuss it.
Got it.
So they see Scully's like, what are these guys in suits doing over there? They're like clearly in like plastic PPE suits, not like business suits. So they decide that Mulder's going to go with the federal marshal, who's pretty hostile, Dean Norris, and is like, hey, I'm in charge. And Mulder's like, if you were in charge, you'd know why we were here, and we don't know why we're here, and no one does. So Mulder's going to go with him, and Scully's going to try to figure out what's going on at the prison with all of this like mysterious cleanup men. And so we briefly see a family of four stop at a rest stop with an RV, and they go into the bathrooms, and then the convicts steal their RV and they kill the dad. They like hid in the bathroom, killed the dad. And so that's not nice. So we don't like them.
No. Well, because I could have sympathy for
right. Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. We don't know what they were in jail for. We don't know anything else. Where you're like, okay, but then it's like, well, they killed a guy. So we don't like them.
Not cool. Not cool.
And it also seems like they absolutely could have stolen that RV without killing him. So yeah. And so Dr. Osborne is the guy kind of heading up the like mysterious cleaning and incinerating process. And he says he's from the CDC, and he's like, no, you're not allowed in. He will not let Scully in. But eventually she finds out like there've been 14 people infected with some sort of illness. They describe it as flu-like, but luckily that does not seem true, because I've had the flu and I do not get giant pustules all over my face and body. So I think that's just a lie.
Okay. All right.
And Mulder and the marshal and some other U.S. Marshals get to the rest stop, and Scully and Mulder are communicating. And so that's kind of how this episode goes, is like Scully's at the prison doing some stuff. Mulder's out in the field doing some stuff, and they're communicating about what they're seeing. I think it'd be more fun if they were together. It wasn't a fun episode. It was pretty good. It was just, I don't think I remembered it at all. Like, I'm like, have I ever, I'm sure I've watched it, but I remembered almost nothing of it. And so we see again, Scully's facing a lot of hostility. Mulder is now talking to the family and finding out, okay, they took the RV. And then we see the prisoners are at a gas station, And one of them, his name is Paul, of the two prisoners. He's on the payphone calling his like wife or girlfriend and saying, "Oh, I'm coming home." And the other guy is what?
Sorry, finish the sentence, but then
The other guy is laying on the floor of the gas station bathroom with pustules all over his face.
Oh no.
So that's the end of that sentence.
I was going to bring up the phone call you once received from on your answering machine.
Oh yeah. Yeah, on our answering machine. From my boyfriend in high school. That one?
No. Oh no, I forgot about him.
No, that was
the one you erroneously received.
Yes. Oh my God, what was it? It was like, I'm in jail again or something like that.
Yeah. It was like baby, I'm in jail again or something like that left on your answering machine. Yeah.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that. Yeah. Oh, I wish we could have saved that somehow.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, the message in high school from a high school boyfriend was him simply, I don't know, not knowing how answering machines work and just breathing weird and then saying Nate, which was his name.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I guess he connected though, and she was very happy, and we see her being excited to see him. And then the gas station attendant, kind of a younger guy, goes in to the bathroom because he's like, this RV has just been there for a while. And Paul, who'd been on the phone, comes up behind him and hits him with something. And so we assume he's dead. And he got a glimpse of the other guy laying on the floor, all gross. So Scully is trying to, I don't know about her decision making here. She is cutting open the body bags that are waiting to go in the incinerator, and she's got a mask on and gloves, but that's it. And these bodies are gross looking. And she's cut open the bag, and then Dr. Osborne from the CDC comes in to stop her, and in the process, he gets squirted with something out of the wound of the dead person.
Oh, uh-oh.
Yeah, there's so many stuff squirting out of. I felt like I was watching like, what's that movie? Evil Dead. No, not Evil Dead, not Evil Dead. Dead Alive. Did you ever watch Dead Alive?
I think so.
It's a zombie movie, and there's like, it starts with like a rat something, some sort of animal that's like not a real animal, a rat. I don't remember what. I keep thinking terrier. That's obviously not it. But yeah, it's like super gory. Yeah. So anyhow, so much squirting stuff. So they get to the gas station, and the marshals are kind of like one step behind the prisoners. So they get to the gas station, and it turns out the gas station attendant is not dead. He just was like injured, but he tells them, yeah, they were here. This is what they looked like. One of them was clearly sick. Mulder says, yeah, the kid's got a lot of hair. It probably absorbed the blow, which was, I don't know, like, did they need like a throwaway line to explain why he wasn't dead? I don't know. He did have a lot of hair. Yeah.
So the prisoner who had collapsed on the bathroom floor was
also
fine.
Gone.
Like,
no, the prisoners are gone. So they're gone. They've left the scene. The gas station attendant is not
but
dead.
He was like good enough to leave, or
yes, but by the next time we see him, he's not in good shape.
Oh, okay.
So they stole the kid's car, the gas station attendant's car, and Mulder has an idea that maybe they called a girlfriend. So he calls an operator on the payphone, which, man, this would not work in the days of cell phones. Although I guess a prisoner wouldn't have a cell phone. So I don't know. I guess they'd buy a burner. It still wouldn't work. But anyhow, he's like, I need to know what the last call was made on this phone. And that's how they're able to find the address of Paul, the prisoner's girlfriend.
Okay.
And so all of a sudden, while Mulder's doing this, a helicopter arrives and takes the gas station attendant away in like a, I don't know, clear plastic box.
Huh. Okay.
Like, I don't know what to call it. I'm sure it has some special term, but it was basically like, you know, the boxes that Barbies come in? It was like that kind of. Like, it was like a hard plastic shell, you know, like it wasn't like a body bag. It was clear. Huh. But the kid was like, where are they taking me? And both Dean Norris and Mulder
God, that's
are
right.
like,
He's alive.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
forgot.
he's alive.
I was picturing like his body. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
no,
gosh.
no, he's alive. And he's like, where am I being taken? And Mulder is like yelling at the marshal, like, you sent them? And he's like, no, you sent them? And no, and they don't know where this helicopter came from.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's very conspiracy-ish. Um, we see that the two convicts do arrive at the house. The one is not doing well. And then Scully is trying to trace the origin of this package that showed up in this guy Bobby's cell. And I should mention now, we see this empty envelope, and it is addressed to Robert Torrance, which was the name of the scientist in the forest, in the rainforest, who died. But
Hmm.
we know that the prisoner who died, was also named Bobby, and so it becomes clear his name, also Robert Torrance. And there was an
Uh,
address like written on the package, crossed out and replaced with the address of the penitentiary.
hmm.
So so she's able to find out that the person who sent the package, the company was Pink Pharmaceuticals, which Mulder says is the biggest manufacturer of drugs in America. And so
Hmm.
they're the ones who sent this package. And Scully then notices like a bug in the wound of one of the dead guys. So she
Hmm.
grabs that guy, and we see that the wife is now, we're back at the house with the two convicts. The wife
Mhm.
is trying to take care of the sick one. She gets squirted with the stuff. Her husband, takes off, and he's taken off. The other convict is dying. She's freaking out because she's squirted with the
Oh
goo.
my
And then
God.
Mulder and the marshals arrive.
Oh my God. I would be
So,
so unbelievably pissed if I were.
yeah,
I mean, like you bring your like half dead convict friend for me to take care of. I get squirted with this
yeah,
pus and you
yeah,
leave.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh my God.
Oh, where are we? Okay, so finally, Dr. Osborne talks to Scully and is like, "All right, I don't work for the CDC. I work for Pink Pharmaceuticals, and I'm
Oh.
probably gonna die because I was squirted with that stuff. So I'm gonna be honest with you. Emasculata is this bug that carries this parasite that they have some sort of interest in, as far as like, how does this bug do this thing, or this parasite do this thing that we could use for drug research? And that's why they had that guy, Robert Torrance, the scientist, in the jungle or in the rainforest. I didn't totally follow how Biodiversity Project and Pink Pharmaceuticals were related, but
Yeah,
he explains, and this is going to come as no surprise, the contagion spreads when the pustules erupt and get on people. So,
sure.
as you
Mhm.
would expect. And so he's like, look, you were there. You could also be infected. Um, Mulder is like all up in arms about that helicopter showing up. So he storms into Skinner's office because this is all in
Oh,
Virginia. So it's not too far, I guess. And he starts being like, we were deceived. Why were we sent there? Oh, but then there's someone in the shadows sitting with Skinner
oh,
and smoking. Yeah. So cigarette smoking man is there, and he's kind of like, you know, okay, so Helen, do you know anything
yeah.
about this? Is it real? He, Smoking Man says in 1988, there was a breakout of hemorrhagic fever in Sacramento, California. If the public had known at the time, they would have freaked out and far more people would have died, or something like that.
Huh. I know
Um,
there was a breakout of hemorrhagic fever in the Southwest, possibly around the same time, although I think it was a little later. I think I want to say like early 90s. Um, but I don't know if there was one in Sacramento. That doesn't sound familiar
hmm.
because hemorrhagic fever mostly spreads through like mouse droppings, or at least like the forms that were found in the Southwest. What happened
Hmm.
was because it's so dry, the stuff gets aerosolized and then people will breathe it in.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, I want to say that was maybe 93-ish.
Hmm. Okay.
So I don't know if there I that doesn't sound familiar.
Okay, because I looked it up, right? And if you just Google hemorrhagic fever, Sacramento, 1988, what you find first is a Reddit post on the X-Files Reddit that is
Oh,
like, it was real, and it's a newspaper clipping about hemorrhagic fever, but I'm like, I don't from Sacramento in 88, but I'm like, I can't tell how real this is, and why is this the first result? So I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Unclear.
Okay.
So yeah, so Smoking Ban basically accuses Mulder of being a hypocrite and is like, well, how many more people are getting infected while you're here yelling at us, not doing your job? Which is just kind of, I don't know. I don't know what he's just being Smoking Man, standing there smoking. Scully is now quarantining. They kind of argue about, should we leak what we know so far? Scully's like, no, I think we need more information so people don't panic. Like, let's find out, see if you can find that prisoner. Mulder, oh, yes.
I have a quick question. So
Please.
I want to clarify. Scully saw a bug on the body.
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes. The bug's name is Emasculata.
Right. Yes. Mr.
Mr. Yes. Yes.
Like
the F stands for Frank. Yeah.
How our moon is called Moon.
It's cute. Yeah.
It is cute. No, so, and that was on one of the prisoners. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to follow the life cycle here because I don't understand. So if someone was squirted with the pus, are there bug eggs in the pus, or are they just being infected with the parasite?
So just the parasite.
So then if the bug is just a vector for the parasite, why would there be a bug?
Like,
how did it
get there? Yes. So
okay.
I might or might not have an answer in that I think it's possible that the bug came from the package. Oh. That was all something weird and bloody.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is my best guess, but otherwise I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
And I do know they talk about how quickly it all happens too, that like, people are dead within a day or whatever. So Scully's waiting to find out if she is also going to get sick. Mulder goes and talks to Paul's wife. She's like in isolation. She's very hostile, but he's like, look, people could be dying. Don't you want to make sure people don't die? And she doesn't believe him at first, but then eventually she says, okay, he's supposed to be on this 10 p.m. bus to Toronto, which, man, I don't know. Taking a bus from Virginia to Toronto sounds miserable.
Oh God, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know enough geography to tell you.
Yeah, right.
That doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah. It is a Greyhound bus, which I liked because I like Greyhounds. And it did also make me think of, do you remember our friend, do you remember Rico and Chris's friend Rico?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. He had a story once where he took a Greyhound bus and there was a guy who was on the phone the whole time sitting next to him, telling everyone, like calling his friends, going, I'm out of jail. I'm out of jail. And he was so excited to be out. And then, Rico had a bunch of snacks with him and they had to stop and Rico went in to, I don't know, get something, like go to the bathroom somewhere or whatever to stop, came back and the guy was eating all of Rico's snacks and Rico, I don't know why, said, are you going to pay me back for those? Which
oh my God.
I wouldn't say. And
no,
the guy said, and I don't know. I love it so much. And the guy looked at Rico and said, what the fuck do you think? And I just feel like, yeah, what do you think? Like,
that's great.
So yeah, I feel like just another day on the Greyhound bus with this guy with big pustules now because he is sick, unfortunately, as he's like waiting for his bus. And so Dr. Osborne then has like, I don't know, I feel mean for saying this about the actor who's done a perfectly fine job otherwise, but this struck me as very like, he was like, oh, I really get to sink my teeth into this scene because he's like, the toxins, they're moving into my brain. I don't have much longer. And it's just like real high drama. And it just, I don't know. It was hard to keep me in the moment. But he's basically like, look, I don't want my death to be in vain. You have to share proof if I die. This is not an isolated incident. Scully eventually determines she is negative. And she confronts this other guy who's like burning stuff. And she's like, you don't work for the CDC. I know the truth now. You work for Pink Pharmaceuticals. But he's like, what are you going to do about it? And he's burning everything. And so she's like, how am I going to get evidence that this all happened? And so Mulder and Dean Norris are at the bus station because they've found out he's there, and they decide the best thing to do, because the bus hasn't left yet, the best thing to do is for Mulder to just calmly get on the bus and sit behind him, put a gun at his head, and be like, everybody else get off the bus, we're going to talk, so that it doesn't spread. And so Mulder gets on the bus, but unfortunately the guy is in the bathroom. And so Mulder at first is like talking to the bus driver and is not sure, like, is this the right bus? What's going on? Guy comes out. I don't know what happens to the plan, but Mulder across the bus puts the gun at him because he was in the bathroom on the bus, to be clear.
Right,
Sorry.
right.
Yeah. And so the guy grabs a kid hostage, and it's kind of everything's going to hell. But eventually Mulder gets everybody off the bus, and he's talking to the guy, and he's like, what do you know about that package? I need to know where, like, it came from that package, because the guy's like, it came from that package in Bobby's cell. I know it. And so he's like, what was in the package? I need to know what was in the package. And the guy looks like maybe he's going to tell Mulder, but maybe he's just about to die, and he's all sick with his pustules. And then somebody kills him. There's a shot that comes from outside the bus.
Oh.
From one of the U.S. Marshals.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. And so Mulder and Scully are then talking more on the phone. Oh, no. They're back now. They're with Skinner, and Mulder is angry. And he's like, Pink Pharmaceuticals organized this on purpose to circumvent years of FDA testing, Mulder says. I can't quite make heads or tails of that, Helen. Testing for what? I know they had some interest in this bug or the parasite, but what were they testing? Does it kill people? Sure does. I don't know.
Well, like, are they talking about like biological warfare? Is that?
No, because they're a pharmaceutical company. So I think they wanted to make a drug.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, fair. Oh, yeah, fair. Okay. They don't imply anything about biological warfare.
Okay.
Scully then gives us a little more insight, because she is the one who finally realizes Robert Torrance was the name of the prisoner and the name of the scientist. And she's like, what they did was they wanted plausible deniability so they could say it was a postal error that he got this. But I think they deliberately sent it to him so they could see what happened, I guess.
In a population of prisoners where they could, gross.
Where it would be contained.
Right.
Yeah. And so they're like, there's no proof. Like, we can't do anything. And Skinner is like, look, they're always 3 steps ahead, wherever you think you are, you know, and you got to watch your back, because this is just the beginning. Which is pretty ominous.
We're only 3/4 of the way through season 2. He's right.
I know.
It is just the beginning.
Yeah. We're really closing in on season 2 here. And so that's it. It ends on a close-up of the bug.
Wow.
It's one of those that ends in just kind of like, well, stuff is grim, and they haven't been able to share it with anyone.
Okay.
Yeah. It was overall, it's not going to be one of my favorite episodes. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty well done, but it was way too gross. There were some parts that didn't make a ton of sense. Mostly it did. I don't know a thing about parasitology. That's why I feel like maybe if you watched it, you'd have very different commentary.
I don't know. I mean, my biggest question from a parasitic point of view, no, that implies I'm a parasite. Now I'm imagining, like, people can't see me. Maybe I'm just a giant worm.
That's true. Like, you could be, in the same way that we discussed that character in my novel might be a buffalo. You might be a giant worm. I like it. My God, can you imagine if what is my point with, can you imagine if you were a fluke person? What do I mean by that? I guess what I mean is I'm picturing us recording this podcast, except I'm talking to a big fluke person with headphones on. Which would be awesome.
That would be awesome. I'd take it.
In a way.
Yeah. In a way. Yeah. But yeah, from my parasitic point of view, my biggest question is about the life cycle. That's the one thing that like I want to know more about, because I can't figure out how the bugs are getting places, and in this way, like, a mosquito bites someone and gives them malaria during the transfer of like saliva into their blood, right?
Okay.
And then it's not like then someone else gets malaria and they start growing mosquitoes,
Right. And that kind of is what it seemed to be. That is a very good way to articulate it.
Yeah. Because good Lord, as if anything could be worse.
Stupid question. If I get malaria, can I not give it to you directly?
Correct. No. So well, I can't remember what you asked, if it's correct or not.
However I phrased it. No, I cannot pass malaria on myself. Okay.
Correct.
And nor will I generate mosquitoes, which
right.
Because that is the vibe I get, that like you get sick.
Yeah.
It reminds me almost of how people used to think that maggots were generated in dead bodies.
Yes, totally.
Yeah. Except this is the 90s, and I don't think people thought that then. No, you cannot spread malaria person to person. But if you are a person with malaria that's not being adequately treated and there are mosquitoes still in the area, they can bite you, get malaria, and spread it to others. So it still can spread relatively quickly. Interesting.
It's just not directly
so not
person
only
to
can
person.
Mosquitoes give you malaria, you can give mosquitoes malaria. Or you can give them the thing that causes it. They don't really get it.
They don't mind. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't. Yes.
Okay.
It's like how armadillos are sometimes a reservoir for leprosy. So
really?
Yeah. So just a heads up, if you ever see like a road-killed armadillo, which is sad, but don't touch it. Just
resist
in case
the impulse.
Well, I had an anthropology professor once who talked about how she would drive around and pick up roadkill to get the skeletons from it. And I have
People
not
are
reached.
Strange.
Yeah, I have not reached
life
that
is
stage.
A rich tapestry. Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, don't mess with armadillos for all sorts of reasons. Yeah, there is that video of one that's like a rescue armadillo with the tennis ball. Have you seen that?
Is
on
it
Instagram?
playing with it? Does it like roll around with it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, my God.
It's at like some sort of, I don't know, armadillo place. Helping.
Sanctuary?
Yeah. Yes. And someone like rolls a tennis ball towards it and it like pounces on it and then just like ends up in a ball. So it's like the whole thing is a ball and it just kind of rolls and it's wonderful.
Like a popple. Do you remember popples?
Yeah, it is like a popple. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I would have more to say if I saw it, or maybe it would be one of those where I'm like, well, this doesn't make sense. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah. And I mean, I also think like ultimately it was like they're both doing their things that they're good at. Scully's doing her science, Mulder's doing his, I don't know, running around crazy, talking to people, getting suspects to tell him stuff. But there wasn't a lot of interesting interactions between them, a lot of interesting character stuff. It was, I think, depending how much you would like it, depends on how much you like seeing pus squirt out of people, I guess.
So I would enjoy it maybe slightly more than you, but what's next? What am I going to be watching?
Up next is Soft Light.
Don't remember.
I don't know. Okay. Sooner or later, and I don't think it's yet, but there's some episode where there's like shadows of a giant bug in sort of a Kafka way. Does that mean anything to you?
No.
Okay, where it's like somebody looks normal, but then they have the shadow of a giant cockroach or something?
Yes.
Okay.
That does sound familiar.
I don't know
remember
that it's this episode though. That might be
okay.
Well, what's Folie à Deux? Was it Folie à Deux?
Oh, it might be.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know Soft Light. So cool.
Yeah, we're closing in though. There's Soft Light, and then Our Town, and then Anasazi.
Oh wow. Oh
yeah.
Man.
So getting towards the end of season 2.
Didn't realize that Anasazi was season 2. I guess I thought that was season 4.
it's season 2, and then it's the other half of it is season 3. It's the cliffhanger.
Right.
So I mean, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. It does seem kind of
Okay.
early, though. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, then, until next time. Yeah.
Until next
send
time.
us, follow us, send us things.
Oh, yeah.
And thanks for listening.
And in case you're curious, William B. Davis, Smoking Man, is still alive. I just wanted to check on that. So that's nice.
That's
Yeah.
good to hear. Good.
Good for him. Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.